I did Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door's hardest challenge, the Pit of 100 Trials, but my partner was randomly selected. In Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door exists an optional challenge in the form of the Pit of 100 Trials, a series of, you guessed it, 100 combat trials gradually increasing in difficulty with each battle. After each 10th floor, the pit rewards you with a badge, and after successful completion of all 100 battles, players are met with their final challenge, the hardest boss in the game, Bonetail. The last barrier between you and the very strong badge, Return Postage, which damages enemies with half of the damage that they do to Mario. Here's the catch though, when you start the trial, you better be ready to see it to the end, as leaving means you will have to do everything over again from the start. Made it 50 levels down before you realized you were in over your head and want to progress through the main game a bit more to get stronger? That's fine, champ, but when you come back, you gotta start fresh from level 1, baby, because when you're here, you're family. This means that the Pit of 100 Trials is often cited as being endgame content, a nice little challenge to wrap up your 1,000-Year Door experience with a cute little bow. But what's the point in that hot and spicy Return Postage badge if you can't even use it? So after completing Chapter 4 and before embarking into the second half of the game, I decided to throw my hat into the ring and give the challenge the old college try. I wanted to make it a little interesting, however, so I put on my web developer hat and made a little script which would randomly select my partner, triggering between a span of 1 to 5 minutes. Current partner is going to be selected again in order to force a new swap, and whenever a new partner was picked, this sound would play to tell little Beanie Boy here it was time to make a switch. The partners in the rotation were as follows: Koops, Flurry, Vivin, I might have misspelled her name, Gambella, I also misspelled her name, and Shrimp. With this ragtag crew, it was time for our grand adventure. I stocked up on life shrooms, set my initial badge loadout, kissed my loved ones goodbye, and headed down into the first fight. Floors 1 through 10 were free. In fact, I knew a good chunk of this pit would probably be pretty easy considering I had already completed half of the game. But I was expecting the later half of the pit to offer the challenge part of this, well, challenge. Goombella, Vivi, and I made short work of the first 10 battles and quickly made it to the level 10 badge where, whoops, I guess I had been here already and totally forgot I did. I swear this never happens.
And this is where I'd put a trophy. If I had one!
No worries though, this is all a learning experience. We're in this together and we can be vulnerable. I also knew for certain that I hadn't made it any further past level 10. Floors 11 through 20 were handled swiftly by Koops, Vivian, and Goombella, making it to the Fire Drive badge, a little badge we'll see in action quite a bit later as it ended up becoming a quintessential part of my build. We also found this cool merchant who taught me a lesson in economics with these absolutely wild prices. Costco was out here selling a hot dog and a soda for $1.50 in the year of our Lord 2024, but Homeboy out here selling mushrooms for 17 coins? Nah man, that ain't me. May I also remind you that we have 9 life shrooms, so call me a prepper because I'm not falling for these doomsday inflation prices. We bid the merchant adieu and continued forward. Come on, Mario. Jump in the pipe. Good buddy. Shrimp and Flurry got some time to shine on floors 21 through 30, and we got our first level up of the challenge. At this point, I figured that for our best chance of success, improving our badge power would be the way to go to allow for more badges to be equipped. You see, there are real adults out there who actually do their taxes and who have actually completed the Pit of 100 Trials pre-Hooktail. So for the Joey Beans Weenie Hut Jr. crew, comparatively speaking, we were doing much better on the HP and FP front. I knew as we went deeper and enemies got tougher, it would become a necessity to expand our arsenal of badges. So this became the prevailing thought. We collected our Zap Tap badge, a nifty little fellow who hurts those who try to hurt you. You hear me, Linda? Don't get shocked. I'm taking the kids. And down we went. Floors 31 through 40 are where Flurry and I learned a lesson in sunglasses Koopa behavior. Did you know? These Koopas can turn into little tornadoes if they are knocked on their back when it's their turn to attack. And did you also know tornadoes hurt paper? Now we didn't die, I'm above that. But it was the first time I clenched a little in this challenge, and we were just getting started. Bip bop bam though, we wrap up the battles and get ourselves the Pity Flower badge, which can passively generate FP, and made quick work of floors 41 through 50 to get Strange's Sack.
It feels weird, but I'll allow it.
An upgrade to our items carrying capacity. Floors 51 through 60 are when the crack started to show. Just as I had predicted, the second half was going to be where the real gaming was. The problem was not only were the enemies getting stronger, but there were getting to be more of them. And I didn't have a whole lot of strong multi-attacks at my disposal. Quake Hammer was my best bet most of the time, but only did 2 damage to each target at a time. Partners were also limited to what multi-attacks they had, and we were burning through FP as normal attacks were no longer cutting it. As a result, I was absolutely bodied by these 3 badge bandits, and lost my first life shroom of the run. We took them out, and then again, because I guess if they run away after stealing something of yours, you gotta fight them again to retrieve your stolen items. Nonetheless, we wrapped up the set of floors with the double dip badge, which lets Mario use 2 items in a row rather than just 1. We died just once on floors 61 through 70. Vivian got by this Lakitu spiky ball, but that's alright, we still love her. This floor was definitely harder, but we prioritized some of the star powers for strong multi-attacks and were able to claim our double dip key, which is the same as double dip, but for partners. Floors 71 through 80 are where I needed to start utilizing some abilities that I had been largely ignoring up until now. For 1 star point, Sweet Treat became invaluable, restoring the much needed FP and HP that we were flying through with these later enemies. Clockout was also a GOAT, as it would immobilize enemies for up to 3 turns. This helped counterbalance things when either the best partner for the battle wasn't able to be equipped, or if I needed to take pressure off to slowly pick away at the enemy's ever-growing health pool. Armored enemies were also starting to make frequent appearances, so Piercing Blow quickly became a mainstay in the arsenal, and partners were starting to get all but useless without their stronger attacks. It was becoming apparent, however, that the stock of life shrooms I brought might not make it to Bonetail as intended. Being unable to swap out partners at my own discretion meant that even if someone was getting in bad shape, they had to remain out on the battlefield. My partners were just running through my supply. I just used 3 in one battle. But it was fine, because I figured that at least before the Bonetail fight, we'd have a chance to heal up, right? We scraped through the rest of the floors and were awarded with the Bump Attack badge, which allows us to insta-kill weak enemies by just walking into them rather than entering a formal battle. I will be using this one for sure throughout the rest of the game. Mr. Merchant was also here, and due to how quickly we were running through life shrooms, I figured 17 coin mushrooms were sounding pretty good. 47 coins! Shout out, love that for me. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, I guess. I shelled out my hard-earned cash and stocked up for the battles yet to be. Floors 81 through 90 were brutal. My remaining life shrooms were dead as disco, and for the first time in this run, we got a game over. Now, the 1000-Year Door remake is kind of the homie, because Mr. Miyamoto graced us with the blessing of try from last battle. You see, back in the day, if you got a game over in these here pits, you had to go all the way back to the start and take it from the top. But remember, we're above that. We're better than everyone else, and don't you forget it. So we quickly returned to the battle, crawled our way to victory, and claimed our last badge before the Bonetail boss fight. Lucky day, which makes it more common for enemies to miss attacks against Mario. The last set of floors, 91 through 100, were pretty rough. Partner randomization was on full display here. Every point of damage we did and the way we did it mattered. So Koops versus 4 flying bats wasn't real cash money. Deaths were becoming commonplace, and now we had no life shrooms left. When partners died, Mario just had to hang out next to their corpse until another partner was randomly selected for us. So a lot of these battles started to look like this. We took our time though and used every resource available to us and eventually made it to the last pipe. Now, assumptions aren't great. They really do make an ass out of you and me, and I made a real assumption. You see, my badge layout was mainly set up for multi-enemy battles. My full intention was to take a few minutes and build an arsenal more fit for a single strong boss like Bonetail. I would have also used some of the items I bought earlier to replenish some of Mario's HP and FP had there not been a health box prior to the Bonetail fight. In my head, after Pipe 99, there was going to be a prep area to get ready for the big battle ahead of us. So, I made my assumption and hopped right into the last pipe with no prep work. Much to my dismay, a cutscene triggered and the fight began. Oh lord. Aru. Can't flee this fight. 200 damage, huh? Alrighty! Mario had 23 out of 30 HP, which wasn't horrible, but 26 out of 45 FP, which was not ideal. That's fine though, I thought, as I'll see a little bit of the boss, learn some of her moves, and surely that great try battle again button will take us right before the pipe into Bonetail so that I can fix my badges and replenish some of my stats. Oh, Mario's dead. Alright. Yeah, we're locked in, dude. Damn.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
This is bad. This is really not how I wanted to start this fight. Nope, I was stuck with it, baby. What I had is what I had, and if I wanted to do anything differently, I would need to go back to my last save and do the trial all over again. But that was not an option. Regardless of what shit-ass start I had, brave soldiers before me had done this fight with a lot less in their pre-Hooktail runs. Pull out the G Fuel because I'm a gamer, dammit. I did 100 consecutive super jumps in Mario RPG. I can beat Luigi's Mansion in under 2.5 hours. I've completed Aquaman more than once, unironically. easily. So go ahead and bone me, Bonetail, because I'm not going to go back to that save point. You're stuck with me. And thus, the real battle began. Bonetail was rough. This battle took me a minute to get through. The main thing that was tripping me up with this fight was that due to the inability to select my own partners, when a partner died, I was stuck with them until I was prompted to make a swap. This, however, wasn't too crazy, as we had seen this happen on some of the higher level floors. However, what was real tough in this situation was that even if a partner had died, they were still included on the rotation script, meaning that I was being prompted to swap to already dead partners. The start of the battle was never too much of an issue, but due to Bonetail's strong attacks and my dumbass's inability to super guard of what was coming my way, partners would die real quick. And as each partner died, the probability that a living partner would be picked for me greatly decreased. I also had to make a bit of a house rule for this part. You see, you cannot swap to a dead partner, which totally makes sense, but is something I didn't even consider. So in this case, when Flurry was out, but swapping to Vivian was physically impossible, we were allowed to keep using the partner who was out. Bonetail has 200 health, and then she does this neat little magic trick where she heals 40 HP, giving her a total of 240 health. So the battle is really just about staying alive and chipping away at her damage. I had 4 constants in my life for this battle. Sweet Treat and Power Lift were my main specials, with Piercing Blow and Fire Drive being my main sources of damage. We'd open up with a Fire Drive, set a burn and induce a few turns of passive damage, then Piercing Blow for the hits in between burns. It was crucial that we were hitting the stylish points after every attack to keep our star power up, as I was burning through Sweet Treats to keep up the necessary HP and FP. I also had a nice selection of boost sheets I picked up from the numerous battles throughout the pits, which would make its user invulnerable to damage for 2 turns. Flurry and Shrimp were my homies in this fight. Flurry's body slam was always a nice guaranteed 2 points of damage, but more importantly, she had that good suck which would do 4 points of damage to Bonetail and restore 4 points of her own HP. Shrimp was also vital here, as his multi-bounce paired with a well-timed power lift could just shred damage when used together. The rest of the partners were fine. Vivian's Fire Punch did help with her passive burn strat, and Coop's Shell was good when I didn't totally ruin it. But Flurry and Shrimp were really the main stars of the show. I had the strategy. I knew that it could work. We were just farming for that perfect run where it would all come together. It's like fighting a boss in Dark Souls, how you pull the boss 100 times and you do the exact same shit while expecting a different outcome.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
I was in that same gameplay loop with this fight. You can call Paper Mario the Dark Souls of paper-based JRPGs. The other thing that made this fight so grueling was that it was super long. On my best runs, I was spending almost 20 minutes in the fight before dying and having to start over again. But somehow, someway, the energy of the planet came together and this happened. We opened the fight with Bean Boy and Shrimpy Baby. I opened us with a clock out as I wanted to buff his multi-bounce. Unfortunately, during the clock out, we had to swap to Flurry, so all I could do was hope that Shrimp could come back out later, as his buffs would stick with him even if we swapped partners. Flurry and I were able to knock out almost 70 points of damage during her run. Koops came out, gave me a little boost sheet, then got some of that forever sleep as Mario went into solo mode. Luckily though, Sweet Treat was keeping me where I needed to be, making sure I was never within that 8 damage range that it would take for Bonetail to finish me off. Eventually, Koops was tapped out for our boy Shrimp, where I then stupidly used another clock out thinking that the benefits would stack. This ended up not being the case, as I just overrode his buffs, but I guess at least Mario was able to see the benefit. We got in 1 multi-bounce right before I had to switch to Goombella, right as Bonetail a-rude. Then Alan showed up and did this. Thanks, Alan. Goombella and I were holding down the fort well. I was even able to pull off some super guards before Alan's dumbass showed up again and gave me the good fork. Goombella and I continued before I was prompted to swap to Coop's dead ass, but since he was dead, Goombella and I continued our crusade. Not before Alan showed up for a 3rd time. I know what you're thinking, Joey really likes this Alan bit, but I swear to God, I'm not trying to be funny. Alan just kept showing up a lot in this battle, like back to back to back, pulling his little rope, being a little row about it. I don't like that, but he did it, and he did it a lot. The weird thing too is it's not like it happened in previous battles. Alan was just here for this one specific battle. Nonetheless, Goombella was eventually knocked down and it was the Mario show once more. It was Hammer and Sweet Treat time all day. This nice boo came over and helped me out with a free boo sheet, and eventually we got Bonetail down to 65 HP. Vivian was called in and the strat was working, so although I didn't want to jinx it, I was actually feeling really good about this run. Vivian and I brought Bonetail down to 40 HP before she was taken out, but with just 40 HP, I knew I could cross over the finish line with the solo Mario show. But then Bonetail's dumbass had to go and Aru herself 20 more HP. I guess I had assumed that she already did both heals this far into the fight, and it totally slipped past me that she had another one in her. This was devastating, as every second longer I had to fight her, the strategy was at risk of falling apart. One bad freeze from her breath, one rogue Allen-ass rope pull to confuse me. I needed to get her out of the picture as soon as possible. But then it happened. Shrimp! Shrimp! Shrimp fried rice! The random partner selector gods shined their freaky little JavaScript light all over me, and our buff Shrimp was summoned back into action. And we did it. We boned Bonetail. Fuck you, Bonetail! Aru! Ooh woo! We did it. This fight took me 3.5 hours, about as long as all 100 floors, but the battle was over. My fingies were sore from tapping that A button so good for the last 7 hours of my life, and we claimed our return postage badge. I've played Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door many times over the past 20 years. I have great memories of playing it as a child or with great friends, as I was always excited to share it with anyone who would want to give it a try. But for as many times as I had completed the game, I never actually did the Pit of 100 Trials, and this was a real fun way to do so I hope you enjoyed this challenge. It was fun to do and it was a lot of fun to stream. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed or gave the video a thumbs up, whatever it is you want to do, or leave a comment below letting me know what other game challenges you think would be interesting to see. If you want to catch my stream next time live, you can always find me over on twitch.tv/thejoeybeans. Thanks so much for watching and have a good one.